morning. Welcome to UUCC, the Unitarian Universalist Church of Canandaigua. We are a group of spiritual free thinkers who gather to celebrate life, build community, and better our world. And wherever you are on your spiritual journey, you are welcome here. I'm Carrie Teague, your worship associate for this morning, and the service today will be led by Matt Ross McGuire with guest speaker Cheryl Drake. Thank you to everyone on this morning's worship team, including music by Bill Mells and religious education for children 3 and over by Pat and Kaya Mells. If this is your first visit, welcome. We invite you to sign the visitor's book in the entryway, and whether it's your first visit or your 1,000th, we are glad that you came. The service is also being live streamed on our YouTube channel, and we plan on continuing with hybrid worship services so you can join us each week here in person, on Zoom, or later on YouTube. To help us connect better with our friends watching from home, please turn around and give a wave to the camera. Hello. At the end of the service, we will invite our friends on Zoom to turn on their cameras and return the wave. I have a few announcements to share with you today. To help make the most of our time together, event details can be found on the printed announcements in the back of the room or in the weekly email. If you have a joy or sorrow to share, please fill out the card on or near your chair. We invite you to bring them forward and place them in the basket after Bill rings the chimes and begins to play. You can also come forward and drop a pebble in the water if you have a joy or sorrow you'd prefer not to share. Please join us today after the service for our second Sunday potluck. Whether you brought a dish to share or not, you are welcome to stay. We always have plenty to share. We're bringing back the wagons. As a way to tie together our food-related justice work, we will ask the children for help collecting shelf-stable food items during offering on potluck Sundays, starting this week. So if you did not get the memo, didn't bring anything, or just forgot like I did, you can do it next time when it's potluck, but something shelf-stable. Thanks to everyone who brought one or more items with you to your seat, and for your patience as our wagon drivers learn or relearn the collection route. We'll organize these donations along with any others brought in throughout the month and then send them out to food pantries and blessing boxes around the area with volunteers who attend Justice Table. This afternoon, Dorothy Hoskins will be speaking at Farmington Friends at 1 p.m. about the pathway to citizenship. The meeting is open to all. Feel free to join. Justice Table is coming up on Friday, January 16th from 6 to 8 p.m. here at church. If you are able, please bring a dish to pass and supplies for one or more birthday kits to be distributed to local food pantries and blessing boxes. Take a copy or photo of the flyers posted on the bulletin board between the bathrooms for instructions on the supplies needed for the kits. I have a sad thing to announce this morning that Mark Severud passed this weekend. He was a former member of the church along with his wife Ellie. They both got quite ill and were hospitalized with COVID and flu. Ellie did make it, but Mark did not. So we'll share more details as we know them, but that's all I know at this time. I have an announcement about the fridge. So you may remember that we did a big clean out. Kai and I did a big clean out maybe 2 months ago now. And we made an announcement about if you open something but you put it into the fridge to be used at a later time, it needs to have a date on it so we know how old it is, because we ended up throwing out a lot of stuff because we just didn't know whether it was safe to eat or not. So I pulled all of the things that are currently in the fridge without a date on them, and I'm just telling you, I have to throw these out and it's making me crazy. So, and 2 almost full things of salsa. So there are little stickers on the fridge where you can just write the date that it was open so we know that it can be kept or not, right? So this is an important thing to keep everybody safe and not get food poisoning. And it's taking care of your resources and making sure things are not getting wasted at the same time. Thank you to everyone who signed up to be a designated closer. We filled up January, and so the next open spot is not for a month, so that's great. But if you're able to stay and do that, basically it's somebody to make sure everything is cleaned up and all the safety things are done before you go out. Just a reminder to please go through that checklist. There are things that are not getting done that are on that list. There's a bunch of garbage that's still in the garbage back there, and I don't know whether it came from the folks that used the place during the week or from last weekend or not. And the dishes weren't washed. We do have enough dishes for potluck, don't worry. But it's important to make sure that all the stuff is getting done. Any other announcements for the good of the community?
I've been developing web pages for the self-study of the new citizenship test, but I really need somebody who has knowledge of GitHub to work with me to make those available widely. So if anybody in the community is good with GitHub, please be in touch. Thanks.
The UUCC is creating a banner to help us be more visible at public events. So we will help paint this in concentric colors of the rainbow. The youngest can help with red and orange and yellow. Some grown-ups can help with blue and green, and some of us older folks can help with purple.
Morning. If you ordered name tags, they are in.
Yes.
I do need to make sure everything that we ordered is in the packet, but I will do that sometime while we're setting up for potluck. And then afterwards, if you stop by, I will, assuming it got made the way it was supposed to, give you what you need. Thank you.
I forgot to put it in this week's announcements, but the second annual open mic is going to be Friday, February 13th, the day before Valentine's Day. So, yeah, Friday the 13th, Galentine's Day, Valentine's Day. We got a lot going on. So if you had shared with friends last year, please share with them again. I was trying to do a save the date and re-invite all those folks, but I didn't have that email. I think it got lost in the sauce. I don't know who sent it, so help me re-invite folks. Thank you.
Going once, going twice. As we prepare to be fully together, I remind you to silence your phones and any devices that might bing or beep. We now enter a space of worship. Now is the time to bring forward any joys or sorrows or come up to drop in a pebble. And now it's time to light our chalice. Miss Poppy, would you like to assist me? That was oh, good. All right. I invite you to join with me on our chalice lighting words. We gather this hour as people of faith with joys and sorrows, gifts and needs. We light this beacon of hope, sign of our quest for truth and meaning, in celebration of the life we share together.
Truth
Our opening words today are from Tenzin Gyatso, the 14th Dalai Lama. This is called The Paradox of Our Age. We have bigger houses, but smaller families. More conveniences, but less time. We have more degrees, but less sense. More knowledge, but less judgment. More experts, but more problems. More medicines, but less healthiness. We've been all the way to the moon and back, but have trouble crossing the street to meet the new neighbor. We built more computers to hold more information, to produce more copies than ever, but have less communication. We have become long on quantity, but short on quality. These are times of fast foods, but slow digestion, tall man, but short character, steep profits, but shallow relationships. It's a time when there's much in the window, but nothing in the room.
Our opening hymn this morning is in the big hymnal, number 110, Come, Children of Tomorrow. Please rise as you're willing and able, and join us to sing.
And now it's time for a story. If you'd like to come closer to see the pictures better, I'll do my best to hold them up and show everybody. This is called The Relatives Came, a story by Cynthia Rylant. The Relatives Came. This was a special book for her family. It was given to welcome a new child. For Aunt Agnes Little and her brood, Dick Jackson and his, Jerry and ours. And there's all their stuff. It was in the summer of the year when the relatives came. They came up from Virginia. They left when their grapes were nearly purple enough to pick, but not quite. They had an old station wagon that smelled like a real car, and in it, they put an ice chest full of soda pop and some boxes of crackers and some bologna sandwiches, and they came from Virginia. They left at 4 a.m. when it was still dark, before even the birds were awake. They drove all day long and into the night, and while they traveled along, they looked at the strange houses and different mountains, and they thought about their almost purple grapes back home. They thought about Virginia, but they thought about us, too, waiting for them. So they drank up all their pop and ate up all their crackers and traveled up all those miles until family, they pulled into our yard until finally they pulled into our yard. Then it was hugging time. Talk about hugging. Those relatives just passed us all around their car, pulling us against their wrinkled Virginia clothes, crying sometimes. They hugged us for hours. Then it was into the house, and so much laughing and shining faces and hugging in the doorways, you'd have to go through at least 4 different hugs to get from the kitchen to the front room. Those relatives. And finally, after a big supper, 2 or 3 times around, until we all got a turn at the table, there was quiet talk, and we were in 2s and 3s through the house. The relatives weren't particular about beds, which was good, since there weren't any extras, so a few squeezed in with us, and the rest slept on the floor, some with their arms thrown over the closest person, or some with an arm across one person and a leg across another. It was different, going to sleep with all that new breathing in the house. The relatives stayed for weeks and weeks. They helped us tend the garden, and they fixed any broken things they could find. They ate up all our strawberries and melons, then promised we could eat up all their grapes and peaches when we came to Virginia. But none of us thought about Virginia much. We were so busy hugging and eating and breathing together. Finally, after a long time, the relatives loaded up their ice chest and headed back to Virginia at 4 a.m. We stood there in our pajamas and waved them off in the dark. We watched the relatives disappear down the road. Then we crawled back into our beds that felt too big and too quiet. We fell asleep. And the relatives drove on all day long and into the night. And while they traveled along, they looked at the strange houses and different mountains, and they thought about their dark purple grapes waiting at home in Virginia. But they thought about us too, missing them, and they missed us. And when they were finally home in Virginia, they crawled into their silent, soft beds and dreamed about the next summer.
All right, that was adorable. Now is the time in our service to join together in the spiritual practice of generosity. Our gifts of both time and money support our church and its work. Each week we like to spotlight a group or committee and thank them for their gift of time, and this week that group is hospitality. Hospitality helps make your snacks happen after church and your coffee happen before and during church, so a very important group. People interested in finding out more can contact Kaya Mel's, and we could really use some help in this area with bringing snacks for weeks that aren't potluck Sunday. So 1/4 of our plate collection for the frozen season will go to our service partner, Called to Care, Canandaigua. Called to Care Canandaigua is an all-volunteer organization that welcomes refugees and other displaced persons and provides a support network to help families start a new life in America. They provide housing, transportation, clothing, food, medical care, household items during their first months and assist families with schools, language class enrollment, and work authorization applications. You can give to this morning's offering by placing cash or a check in the basket or by one of the options on your screen. Please make a note that your gift is intended for today's offering, and we now gratefully accept that offering. That's a tradition that we haven't done since before COVID, and it felt good. Yeah, it's nice to see. We have a number of joys and sorrows today, but there are numerous sorrows about Mark Severud. But there is a joy. There's one joy here to list, and it's from Maria, who is going ice skating today. So I'll now drop a stone for these and all the joys and sorrows left in the silence of our hearts. Whatever is in your heart today, we are with you. Please say it with me. And at this time, if there are any children who would like to attend religious education, please go downstairs with Kaya and Pat. Give us a second, we're figuring stuff out. Before the sermon, Sunday meditation. Sure. I don't know. I don't know the plan for that. So this is meditation on Sunday and sermons.
This is a reading from God is a Verb by Rabbi David A. Cooper. It's a traditional story called The Dirty Penny. In the city of St. Petersburg 200 years ago, a desperate situation arose in which a ransom of 10,000 rubles was demanded for a young bridegroom. This experience was not uncommon in those days when unscrupulous police, military, or other people in power would arrest or kidnap Jews and demand ransom, for they knew that Jewish law required the Jewish community to do anything, including selling a precious Torah scroll to save a Jewish life. 3 Talmudic students in the area realized that the only place to get such a sum was from a wealthy man named Ze'ev. Now, Ze'ev is the Hebrew word for wolf, and this man was aptly named. He was ravenous for wealth and would do anything to acquire it. He could also be vicious when turning people away who requested donations. He never contributed to anything. These 3 rabbinic students were to become famous rabbis. The youngest of the 3 was later known as the altar rabbi, Shneur Zalman of Liadi. He was the leader of the 3 because he was certain that they would be successful with Ze'ev. The other 2 were Reb Levi Yitzhak of Berchedev and Reb Mendel of Vitebsk. They were far more skeptical about getting money out of Ze'ev and were concerned about wasting precious time, but they wanted to accompany Shneur Zalman to provide protection. He agreed on condition that they would not say anything during the fundraising, no matter what happened. Ze'ev was stunned and somewhat honored to see a delegation of 3 rabbis at his door. He was also suspect, but he invited them in nonetheless. They had tea and talked about the weather for a while. Finally, Shneur Zalman got around to telling the story. He told of an orphan boy who had no family and whose wedding was only a week away. The boy had been arrested on a trumped-up charge and now could not be released without the paying of a 10,000 ruble ransom. As Shneur Zalman spoke, Levi Yitzhak and Mendel could see tears welling in Ze'ev's eyes. At the end, Ze'ev said, "Such a sad story. You have touched my heart, so I would like to help." Levi Yitzhak and Mendel were startled. How had Shneur Zalman done it? Then, quite suddenly, their delight turned sour, for Ze'ev reached into his pocket and pulled out 1 rusty, dirty kopeck, worth a penny, which may have been in his pocket for 10 years. He handed this paltry sum to Shneur Zalman as if it were a major contribution. The 2 older students were shocked by such miserliness, but they had agreed before coming not to say a word. This was Shneur Zalman's project. What did Schneur Zalman do? He began to praise in the most lavish language imaginable for this wonderful contribution. "Oh, sir, you do not know what this means to us. We are so grateful for your generosity. I want to bless you and your wife and your children, that you should be successful in your business. You should be the beneficiary of good health. You should be graced with love." On and on he went, giving blessings in abundance. Finally, when Schneur Zalman had finished, the three rabbis gathered to leave. Ze'ev stood at the door. As they were departing, Ze'ev said, "You have touched me so much with this story. I feel I must give you more." He reached into his pocket and pulled out another dirty kopeck. Reb Levi Yitzhak and Reb Mendel were infuriated, but they said nothing, as they had promised. Reb Schneur Zalman, on the other hand, began a new round of praises and blessings that lasted another 10 minutes. Finally, they were out on the street walking away from the house. Levi Yitzhak said to his friend, "Are you crazy? We just spent an hour for 2 lousy kopecks." "Hush," whispered Schneur Zalman. Sure enough, when they were about 100 feet from the house, the front door opened and Zev called out, "Teachers, come back." They returned to the front door. With a great deal of fuss, Zev proudly handed them a 1 ruble coin. "I want to make a serious donation." Of course, Schneur Zalman spent yet another 5 minutes with new praises and blessings. They began walking away. Mendel said, "The way I calculate it, we just spent over an hour to get 1 ruble. At this rate, it will take us 10,000 hours. We ought to have the boy out of jail in 4 or 5 years." "Hush," whispered the future altar rabbi. Again, the front door opened and Zev called out. They returned, but this time he gave them 10 rubles. A few minutes later, it was 100 rubles, then 500, then 1,000. Finally, after a dozen returns, he wrote out a check for the balance so that they had the full amount of 10,000 rubles. The two skeptics were numb with amazement. It had taken a few hours, but they had the entire sum. As they had walked away, they asked excitedly, "How did you do it? How did you know he would give so much?" Reb Schneur Zalman said, "When our hearts are covered with a thick shield, the barrier not only keeps things from coming in, it also keeps them from going out. There is no way to remove this shield over the heart all at once. So what we must do is find a way to make the tiniest crack. Then each little opening of generosity leads to another." for our sermon today, I'd like to introduce our guest speaker, Cheryl Drake from Call to Care.
Okay, so alert. It's an honor to be here today. Thank you. Before I begin, I would like to do a couple of verses for me and hopefully for you. May the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable to you, O Lord, my strength and redeemer. And from Leviticus 19:33 through 34. And if a stranger dwells with you in your land, you shall not mistreat him. The stranger who dwells among you shall be to you as one born among you, and you shall love him as yourself. Call to Care Canandaigua, as Carrie had mentioned, is a refugee resettlement group, and we have been able to bring people to America through different programs, which I will talk about briefly, and set them up to become successful and independent. And all of our people are successful. They're working, all of them are, and they are almost all completely financially independent. There's just one young family that still we are supporting as far as rent goes. Call to Care, let me see, I will make this move. Our mission to promote and facilitate the resettlement of refugees and displaced persons in the Canandaigua area. It's a local grassroots organization. In April of 2022, the Russians invaded Ukraine, and Linda Wirtz and Ulana Fuller, who are the founders of Call to Care Canandaigua, joined together and reached out to various churches and organizations and had us come to meet for our first meeting in April of 2022. At that time, we were concerned with bringing Ukrainians here because of their dire situation and how we could help those that were able to flee. We used a program called Humanitarian Parole, and we reached out to World Relief. World Relief is a national refugee resettlement group. But there is an organization housed right in Rochester, and they were very helpful. They showed us at that time that we need to get organized before we bring in a family. We need to have good neighbor teams assigned to each family. And each good neighbor team has about 6 to 8 people, and each person is assigned a specific role, whether it's housing, education, employment, transportation, health needs, and so on, and cultural, and all that you would need to do to become acclimated to our community. And they also told us that, we were told through the program Humanitarian Parole, which those people came through, that we had to have at least $10,000 to be able to accept a family here in the U.S., and we had to have a sponsor. So we worked very hard from April 2022, and our first family came in December of 2022, Ukrainian family. And from that point, we have been able to accept 18 families. We started with 17 volunteers. We now have approximately 75. And that sounds like a lot. However, we always need new volunteers because people come and go, and family situations change for our volunteers. So there are many opportunities that we could always use people to help. We have a big fundraiser coming up on February 6th, and you don't have to be on the fundraising committee to help. We could use your bodies to help serve food or do other things. Transportation is a great need, and there are more things that I could mention. So I did mention that we resettled 18 families. I do want to say, though, that our last family came not in September of 2025, but in January of 2025, because at that time, the doors were closed for refugees, and the program of humanitarian parole has ceased. And those of our families that did come through refugee status are still in process. However, those who came through humanitarian parole, that has been changed. What happens is that they were given a 2-year time to be here, and the administration decides whether they can remain, whether it's safe to go back to their country. And through other administrations, they were given extensions called temporary protective status. Now that has been rescinded, and sorry. Okay, our Haitians have to leave February 3rd because it's been deemed that Haiti is okay to go back to. It's safe to go back to. I can give you horror stories, which I won't do right now, but it is not that our families are in communication there. It is not safe for them to go back. And because of their association with America, they will be kidnapped and killed. We feel that that was what is going to happen. Our Ukrainian families have been given the deadline of October 2026. So it's, sorry, it's really disturbing. So we have not been able to bring families in. So, but this is a list of the families that we have brought in, and from December 2022 all the way through January of 2025, when we brought in our last family from Venezuela. We did it right under the deadline. We knew things were coming, and Linda Wirtz, love her, the founder, and so passionate. She said, "We need to bring another family in now because it's going to close." And so through World Relief, we brought the Venezuelans in. Venezuelans did come through refugee status, which I'll talk about in a minute, but so we brought the last family in. We approved it at a board meeting. 10 days later, we had housing, a good neighbor team. We had the money. We had everything set up for them. When we do housing, we bring them in and we have all the furniture there, except for mattresses. We buy new mattresses, but we use used furniture and donations. We also have the kitchen ready to go. We have culturally acceptable food for them. And we greet them at the airport, and when they go to their house, they have a cultural food that they would love to hopefully enjoy, so that their digestive system doesn't have to go through American foods right away. It's really impactful to be at the airport to represent a call to care and bring a family. This Venezuelan family, I was here to welcome this family. I'm on their Good Neighbor team, and it's a family of 4. It was interesting, though, because the father came down, if you've been to Rochester Airport, came down the escalator with his older daughter. She's 20 years old at the time. And he came in, and we had also brought another Venezuelan family with us so they could speak and be welcomed. And you could just see the stress leave him. It was really wonderful. And he said in his broken English, he said, I was so concerned. He didn't know what to expect. He didn't know what he was walking into. And he was so relieved to see that we were good people, and that we had also had another Venezuelan family there to say, yes, it's good here. They'll take care of you. And then the younger daughter and the mother came down. So you could see he was being very careful, even in America. Call to Care now is an approved tax-exempt organization, in case that is of interest to you, or a 501c3. When we do resettle, we do take care of, and by the way, we are still planning to resettle, but it's not going to happen immediately. We are ready to take in new families. But we do find an apartment. We take care of their rent for at least 3 to 6 months. We do have one young family where we are still helping them, even after 2 years. Utilities, furnishings, I mentioned that. We take care of their groceries. We make sure they have employment. Now, let me tell you about the employment. The family that came from Venezuela, he was a legal aid, and so he had sort of a paralegal degree. And we have a nurse, we have a minister, we have people from all walks of life. And what are they doing? They are working the line in the factories. They are working in kitchens, washing dishes. They are not afraid to do what they need to do to become self-sufficient. And as I said, they are. Just one family is not, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. But they have done a great job in the last 2 years. They're paying into Social Security, they're paying taxes, they go to our churches, they are part of our community now. Okay, how we're assisting our present families. Legal fees. Okay, because they have these deadlines, we are associated with Just Cause, who has been very helpful with us. It's a non-for-profit, but we do have legal fees. The asylum process, now I did mention that the refugees have a different status. They didn't come in through humanitarian parole. They came through World Relief with refugee status. They have applied for green cards. The fee for that has gone up considerably since in the last couple of months. And also the application, though our Venezuelans have put in their applications for green card, that has been put on pause. So we're not sure where that's going to go for them. So we are helping them with green cards. We're helping them in some cases with rent assistance. Groceries, they're fine. They did initially come in using SNAP, and only one of our families is on SNAP at this point. So, but we are looking at safe deportation strategies. We're willing to give each family a chunk of money so that they can figure out where they need to go, plane tickets, what they need to do. So we're supporting them in a different way now. These are various committees, and the housing, transportation is still quite active. Many of our people are still taking English language lessons. Health, we still take them to appointments. Employment, they are all employed at this time, but some are looking for maybe higher jobs, higher paying jobs. Education, we make sure the kids are set up. Fundraising is huge right now. And we do have an event coming up. I mentioned February 6th, and I have information for that at the back table. Public image, here I am. And also we are going to change over to a new website in February, and we're going to hopefully make that look more representation of what we do. So we could use some help with the publicity and advocacy. I have some information back there on how you could help us with help all of these people with advocacy. The people to call, there's a dialogue of what you could say, and I do have that back there if you'd be interested in learning more about that. How to get involved, I've kind of already said these things: transportation, driving people to appointments, publicity, grant writing. Anybody here good at that? I'll be talking to you. Thank you. Wow. Thank you. Fundraising, social life. We do get together with the families and try to bring them all together. And we just had a Christmas party. And, of course, advocacy. Good neighbor teams. I did talk about that already. It's a wonderful thing. You become a family. You do become a family. We just did a Christmas party for one of our young ladies. She and her family went to visit relatives that she had in New York, and we just had a little Christmas party and gathering with them. They do become, dear to your heart. They are good people that want to do well. They want to succeed here, and they are. I can skip over this, I believe, and I'm going to give you a little success story. There's so many stories. I want to give you something positive, though. So this one young lady, she's in her 30s, and she had a 4-year-old boy, and she has a husband. Her husband was in military police in Haiti. He had a target on his head. His brother was also in the police, and he was killed. And so the husband said, "There's an opportunity for you to go. I want you to go." And so she's here, and she's been here 2 years now, a little more than 2 years. And when she arrived, she found out she was 2 months pregnant. So you can imagine, she's here alone. Her husband is there in danger for his life, and she has this little 4-year-old boy. Well, of course, our Good Neighbor team surrounded her and helped her through all that. And that little girl's an American citizen. She's now 2 years old. And the little boy is in kindergarten. And we've been able to successfully find childcare for the little girl. And she is now in her 2nd year of employment. And I would normally say where that is, but we're not giving out any information anymore. But she's in her 2nd year of employment. She just got her driver's license on Wednesday. We're very excited about that. My neighbor, whose mom passed away, donated a car. She paid for the repairs of $1,600. She's just recently paid for her car insurance, $849. So she is taking care of things. She's a single mom, and she's doing this. And so that's just one of many really great stories. So and we're praying that she will be able to stay here and what to do with an American citizen little girl. What do you do? So there's a lot there. But anyways, it's really heartwarming to see how she's done so well. And let's see, I think I just have, yes, present situation. Well, I did mention the Ukrainians. Their deadline at this point is October of 2026 to self-deport. Things could change. The Haitians, February 3rd is their self-deport date. And some are applying for asylum. That's really difficult, though, because when you apply for asylum, when you get to the hearing, if they deny you, you're whisked away. And you have to have a really, really good reason. It can't be just that the country's a mess. Or our Guatemalans, who we did bring in, were they have moved on. They had relatives in Michigan, and so we're not taking care of them at this point. It was a family of 8. And the Venezuelans, as I did say, have refugee status. So they should be okay unless things change. So I did mention we're a 501c3, but we also need volunteers. Okay, so if you're interested at all in getting involved, please see me, and I will be here afterwards. So thank you for this opportunity. I'm willing to answer any more questions, and appreciate your compassionate faces. Thank you.
How far can reach a smile? How high a helping hand can lift? How far is far enough to give? Is there a way to learn just how a kindness speaks or where it goes? Should love be called
our closing words again are from the Dalai Lama on selfishness. We can also approach the importance of compassion through intelligent reasoning. If I help another person and show concerns for him or her, then I myself will benefit from that. However, if I harm others, eventually I will be in trouble. I often joke, half sincerely and half seriously, saying that if we wish to be truly selfish, then we should be wisely selfish rather than foolishly selfish. Our intelligence can help us to adjust our attitude in this respect if we use it well. We can gain insights as to how we can fulfill our own self-interest by leading a compassionate way of life.
Our closing hymn today is 159, the big hymnal. This is my song. Please rise as you're willing and able and join us to sing.
If you are with us today on Zoom and would like to wave goodbye at the end of the service, you can turn on your camera now. Please join me in our words for extinguishing the chalice. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.